Hey there, guys. It's Nolan and Jason here with Roofing Webmasters.
Howdy.
Today, the topic is best roofing SEO client. So, we hadn't done one of these in a while, by the way.
We haven't.
And I've gotten some complaints from some people, which I'm very honored that they even would watch us do anything on here. And so, we're going to try to do a few more things. We've been busy because it's the new year.
Yeah.
I'm just grateful to be here and have it looks like a pretty good year overall.
Well, all that stuff people do personally on the New Year resolutions, New Year, everybody applies that to their business too.
They do.
So beginning of the year, our current clients call us and say, hey, how do we get it really going this year? And new people call us and say the same thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was a weird one. I think it was slowed by a couple of weeks because of all the COVID crud and everything for the last languishing for so long. But everybody seems to be moving forward at this point, and business seems to be pretty good overall. But anyway, so I wanted to do this one because we come on here and jab at people and do stuff, but we really have a lot of great clients, right?
We've done about 10 bad SEO clients. It's time we did a good one.
So we're going to talk about a client, but this isn't just, one client. This is conceptually
what makes
a good client.
Right.
And it's great because these are attributes that all business owners should strive for.
Right. And these, by the way, these traits aren't just things we like and make it easier for us. This is what leads to success.
Yeah. On a macro scale, I just added a new one to our list. On a macro scale, I always use this, and I don't pretend to be these people, but like Steve Jobs and really the greats that anybody can remember have all been like Elon Musk and stuff. I mean, these people are very much into their marketing, right? Like Elon probably doesn't really want to talk to people, but he knows that people kind of like him and it's good for his stock and his business interests.
Right.
So one of the attributes of someone who's great is that they call us themselves. Some people get too busy and act like they can't call. Well, Steve Jobs called. He called the packaging personally.
Yeah.
The packaging company messed up the packaging. He was over in their warehouse,
right,
with his team, up their butts, right.
When they were working on what the screen of the original iPhone would be made of.
Yeah.
And his team was telling us, well, there's no material that does what you want. It's going to have to be plastic. He was like, plastic won't work. It's going to be in people's pockets with their keys. It's going to get scratched. It's got to be some kind of glass. He personally called the head of Corning.
Wow.
And got the guy talking and had the guy dig up a 30-year-old patent of something they developed and never used. That's what became Gorilla Glass.
Wow.
And yeah, he handled all that himself.
But he considered aesthetics marketing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that was that glass.
That was part of your brand.
Was his brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, when somebody has someone else, I'm not saying that I don't sign up people who have a marketing manager call, air quote, if you're not on video, because they're never a marketing manager. They're just someone who got delegated a task by someone who thinks they're too busy to handle it. Right. When that happens, the chance of that being a great relationship is diminished greatly, or even becoming a client.
Yeah. Even with the best of intentions, as soon as we're dealing with any kind of disconnect or loss in translation between the source of the person who runs the business, the source of information, and we have to go through a second party when they want something, it's problematic.
In fairness to our client base, 95% of them call me directly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we don't get a lot of the other.
We don't. I had one today. And she got lost on topical relevance, pretty simple stuff. She's nice, and said she's going to have the owner call. If I had to make a statement about this attribute on the best roofing SEO client, is that roofer stay interested and involved in marketing their entire career.
Right.
So that they don't leave or become disinterested, because the best client is interested in marketing. And I'll segue into something. So they don't say, yell at us and say, you do this. They collaborate and say, what can we do to make things better?
Right. Right.
So you want to make
They trust us to do what we do.
Right.
But they listen to us when we say, this is what we can do, but there's certain things we can't because we're not there on location with you.
Or it's just not best for SEO.
Or it's just not best for SEO, whichever thing it is. And
clients can yell and get upset with us or have a problem, and it's fine. It's just that the best clients are collaborative and work with us instead of viewing someone that works against them. Some people just view everyone against them. I'm one of those people, but
no comment.
Yeah, I don't trust anybody or anything said to me. But when I have a professional service and I have a situation going on right now, I respect and recognize it, don't I?
You do.
Yeah. So I know if there's a professional, I won't go on. This is pretty personal stuff.
We don't want to cover
business stuff, personal going on right now. We have a professional person that we're affiliated with, and that person is the relationship's possibly changing, and I'm grateful for the relationship. And it's problematic that the person may not be working with us anymore.
Right.
And I am very much on top of this and have always given respect to this individual and always spoken kindly about him, right?
Yeah.
So I don't even want to...
When we get that call when a client is unhappy about anything, justified or not, doesn't matter. If the call is, fix this.
Right.
That's problematic.
It cuts off lines of professional communication.
Yeah. It reduces the effectiveness of communication.
Right.
When the call is, we're having this issue, then all of a sudden that invites collaboration.
Right.
And it invites communication.
And it's the majority of our clients.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
The majority.
And then it becomes much easier to reach solutions to any problems we encounter.
This client is, and again, it is the majority of our clients, this client is collaborative, respectful, and looking for opportunity and realizes the nature of the professional relationship.
Right.
And so some examples of that would be, they know we're great at SEO, Google account related mapping, organic, reputation reviews.
Right.
They know we're vastly superior at this. And if they want more leads, they might seek out Yelp or Home Advisor or someone to manage their Facebook ads campaign, which isn't necessarily our favorite thing to do, but we'll do it. But they'll recognize that and say, wow, these people are the best there is at these things. I'm so grateful for that, instead of finding fault within any of it, really. And say, now if they have a question on something or question us on something, that's okay. We're big boys. We handle it, right? I mean, we're professional. I always say I know where my mic.
There's no snowflakes in this office.
We don't bite the hand that feeds us.
Right.
It's, we just don't. And so if somebody's got questions, we handle it. So yeah, to understand what we can do and understand that instead of villainizing it. So this is, and this is all just life lesson stuff. I did say I was going to use somebody. So one of the ones, a client that's been a great client, starting out the gate, and they're very self-promotive, which is not a bad thing. I'm naming that as a good characteristic, is TrueWorks Roofing out of Houston. So Houston is a megatropolis, and it's huge, one of the biggest areas in the United States. And the site's still rather new. I think they've been with us about 3 years. They're very successful and get a lot of results off of it. And he's very respectful of the relationship and understanding of it. This client will go and do podcasts and other things to get his name out there. And then he works with us and has a beautiful website. We asked for personalized photos.
And he gave us what we needed.
He gave us what we needed. The site, if you go look at TrueWorks Roofing, looks fantastic. Mm-hmm. He didn't have a lot at the time. I think he has more infrastructure, but you'll see some personal stuff up there. But it looks great, and it converts properly. It reduces the bounce rate, increases conversion. He uses data pens, our software, very well. Yeah. And
he uses it both in quality and quantity.
Yes, quality meaning detailed captions like we'd asked him to do.
Right. And he has called us in the past after doing some to say, how do these look? Could these be better?
Right.
And it's like, okay, this looks good, avoid this. And it's like, you've said that you copied and pasted a few things here. Don't copy paste, rewrite it like you're off the cuff having a conversation every time.
Right.
Things like that. And
so basically attitude is okay, thank you, and I got
thank you, we got it. And then he goes out and does it.
Right. So that guy's great at that sort of thing.
Right.
He gets reviews, does this stuff, and helps on that side, because there's some things when somebody just says, hey, go do it, we can't always do that stuff. We spent tons of money in a different company for software that aids in stuff, but we can't make all the moves internally in here.
Right.
So the client has to participate. So professional services. So we're a professional service, right?
Just like your doctor, your lawyer, your CPA.
We really are. Like my dad's a CPA. I think we're most closely related to a CPA in technicality. Like we're bean counters for the Google algorithm.
We just count leads instead of dollars.
Yeah, we dot I's and cross T's and do details so that when the algorithm finds stuff, our clients get a better grade.
Right.
So we're bean counters, but it's definitely a professional service. And not only is it a professional service, it's harder to find than a good CPA. And a good CPA is hard to find, right?
Right.
A good accountant is very difficult to find. Most
business accountants are regulated, and our business is not. So there's a lot of shady characters.
That's why it's hard to find us.
Yeah.
So if someone realizes the value of a professional service and then attributes the value to results and doesn't illogically disconnect it. So when somebody values that and realizes the value, it's easy to have a good relationship.
Right.
Which again is most of them. TrueWorks is great. He's done hundreds and hundreds of pins, has lots and lots of weird long tail keyword phrases showing up on Houston because of those captions, by the way. He does some off brands. I don't know if you looked into some of his stuff. I don't remember if he does that Da Vinci Slate lookalike. And anyway, he does some different stuff, and it optimizes in a very large market.
Very cool.
And it continues to go up in ranking. So I'll let you talk about this one. And we started with talking about, a high-end understanding, some overachiever of branding like Steve Jobs, genius level at branding. Our clients that are the best clients, and TrueWorks is great at this too, but they build a brand.
Right.
Can you describe what your concept of a brand is, or what a good client doing a good branding job is?
A brand these days, we've covered this kind of thing before on other podcasts. It's about, it's not, a lot of people think of brand and they think about a logo and some colors and a font and a brand book, and that's all the old school stuff, and that's all nice and everything. But these days, it's about making sure that your name, the name of your company, is associated with your service, and in a positive way, obviously, so that it's nearly synonymous. The way Google works these days, we still use terms like keywords, but internally Google uses the term entity.
Right.
And one entity would be roofing.
The brand, a roofer's brand.
Yeah, and what you want is in your local area that roofer's brand to become closely associated with the entity of roofing or roofers.
Right.
And to do that,
it's a minor thought change in your head about the brand.
Yeah.
But
and you have to simple things like the continuity of your information, NAP everywhere.
Reviews, reputation.
And then reviews and reputation is a huge part of it, so that you have that positive connection between the entity of your business and the entity of the abstract keyword.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just TrueWorks Roofing is a trademarked name.
Yeah.
And when they added the word true to works and added that to roofing, it made a unique brand. Google doesn't have to guess, is this the brand? And is it topically relevant?
It's not one of those, you still see a lot of those companies that have those leftovers from the phone book days.
Houston Roofing Company.
Roofing Company, or AAA Roofing.
AAA Roofing Houston.
A-Best Roofing, or whatever.
Yeah.
And
so it's a trick or a keyword phrase, not a brand.
right, right. And I mean, and there's some people that will tell you that if you can get a commonly used key phrase as your company name and have that as your domain, have it on your Google business profile, that can increase your chances. And that's not incorrect.
It's not incorrect.
But if it's too general.
It's not incorrect. It needs this is slightly off this category, but it's interesting. It's not incorrect, but it needs a definitive branded word to go with it.
Right.
So I'm not going to name this company's name, but the person who was the marketing manager that called me today for this other person, for the owner, okay. Their brand was experts on the end. So the problem with that, and so I'm not even going to tell the whole category because I don't want anybody looking it up, but it was the, like roofing, plumbing, HVAC, whatever the category was, experts, and the word before it was also general. So the only identifiable word was experts. The only word that may not have been with the brand, but the word experts is with most common phrases.
Right.
So experts is just barely able to constitute a brand. But if they were...
it's an iffy one, though. You know,
Dallas Roofing Experts, that is not a good enough brand.
No, not at all.
And
so it sounds too general.
Instead of roofing needs to be in there because it's topically relevant. And by the way, they were going to change it. This is a longer conversation, Jason. They were going to change it to exteriors. And,
oh, God.
Yeah, and so then I started...
Even more generalized and less...
Well, no. The primary keyword that was in there was being changed to exteriors.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. It was, not topically relevant, not more generalized. Not
okay. Oh, I see what you're saying.
I'm sorry to get specific with you about it, but not topically. Topically relevant means the customer looks for a roofer, finds a roofer. Right. People looking for a roofer don't want a general contractor and don't want someone that does all exteriors necessarily.
Right.
They want a roofer. They don't want a plumber. They want an HVAC. They don't want a general contractor. They want a roofer.
Yeah. Generally, both the customer likes that, and more importantly, Google likes that. Especially when you're talking about branding.
But Google likes it because the customer's user intent wants it.
That's true.
Not because Google likes it.
Yeah.
Google likes it because Google's trying to please the client. Google has to please the client to make money.
Right.
So it really comes down to capitalism.
Capitalism.
So anyway, don't worry if your name doesn't have roofing. It's not a death blow, but it can be depending on how the algorithm is for Pack 3 map ranking. But the main point, I'll get off of that because that's a whole different, that's a fascinating topic though. If you have questions about that, we can talk to you about it. If you become a client, we'll help to guide you, but not provide legal counsel. You have to check your own licensing and legality of your name. Right. But the guy who is thinking about the brand a little bit, and not just from the name and relevancy, but it's like, okay, I want the best website, code, content, integrations, going with the webmasters. I'm going with Roofing Webmasters. They're going to do great at organic. I think I might join a civic organization or BBB or chamber. I think I might tend to a little social media or have a few, YouTube videos up. And I'm definitely going to get reviews and collaborate with my clients and maybe even have somebody in the office call back and get more reviews and use data pins to send text and emails out. Those are the sorts of things that are compounding the signal. The end result of all of that, of course, is getting up and ranking for the vast majority of clicks, which would be the organic stuff, non-paid on Google.
I think it's important to note that some of the stuff you mentioned, like getting being part of a local chamber of commerce, getting on BBB, Facebook, stuff like that, there is debate among SEO people whether those things are a direct contributor to ranking. Some people say absolutely yes, some people say absolutely no. But regardless of whether they are, they do strengthen your brand, and that contributes to your ranking.
So the guy that signed up 2 sites at once today with us, we were talking about branded items, and we didn't go quite this deep, but I go in pretty deep when I talk to people. And he would talk about, we were talking about social media, and we was like, it's a disconnect to some degree. And he had mentioned Nextdoor. It's like, that one's interesting. I like Nextdoor, and it's bad why I like Nextdoor, but I like Nextdoor because the consumer can't discern marketing from neighborhood referral within the platform.
Yeah.
And if you market enough on the same zip code, eventually neighbors might mistake it for referral and then mention it in specialty questions and groups.
Trickery.
But I said, I tell you what, if you do this, I said, I had somebody do this one time and try several zip codes, and they claimed that they couldn't, because they only let you do it one every other week or something. So they want it to feel like that neighborhood thing and not inundated with advertisers, which some at private equity will buy it out. It'll get
and then it'll get inundated.
It'll
with
get
advertisers,
inundated.
and then the whole thing.
Eventually, somebody will monetize it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I said, do you drive your wrapped vehicle home? And he said, yeah. I said, you should probably take your Nextdoor group just in your zip code, because everybody's already talking about you on Nextdoor a little bit, and pay the $150 a month or whatever, and get your free every week or whatever ad in Nextdoor, and it'll probably work in your zip code because of your other exposure. But when someone's thinking about branding a little bit, for one thing, if they're open to the professional services and they view them as such, then instead of just making a statement like, you do this, instead they say, what can we do later? And it becomes collaborative peer-to-peer.
Right.
Then he listened, And it's like, I don't know that Nextdoor would return on any zip code, but it probably would in the one in your neighborhood, in your zip code, because everybody sees your trucks around town. I said, do the guys ever come over to your house? He said, yeah, all the time. And I said, how many wrapped trucks do you have? He said, I got vans, about 5. And I'm like, it's a lot of billboards rolling around that one.
It is.
So Nextdoor in that area, a collaborative client, respectful professional services, dealing with us in a professional way, and then comes out with this great little side tidbit, just from listening to it.
Yeah.
And frankly, anybody even listening to this, still to this, however long we've been doing this individual's working on their brand.
Right.
And trying to understand it.
Yeah.
And has a better attitude, which is one of the reasons I like to do these podcasts where you're just talking about it. Our brand is perpetuated through podcasts and videos and supported through it, and the clients automatically feel more comfortable and more likely to convert as a client due to it.
Yeah, we get a number of clients who tell us they've watched all these when they speak to you.
Yeah.
And like you said at the beginning of the video, that some have complained that we stopped.
Well,
and they've said y'all need to keep doing them.
I have many flaws I've learned as I gotten older. I have more the older I get. I used to have none. I didn't think I had any. But one flaw I don't have is no BS, and I'm skilled. And so I think people like listening to us because we don't BS them. This is good crap. There's nothing wrong with any of it, And if they didn't learn anything, well, I have wrapped trucks. I'm in my neighborhood. That Nextdoor thing might work for me.
Yeah, I should do that.
That's worth listening to 30 minutes of something and picking it up and $150 a month.
Right.
There's no way that won't return. I mean, there is, but
the other thing I like about the attitude that guy showed is he understood something, that local marketing needs to start with where you locally are. We get a lot of people who are off in a town away from the big city, but they want the big city.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you can get there, but unless your office is there, you probably can't start there. You need to start here and grow out.
Right.
And encompass the larger market.
Right. Or pick up a legitimate location there.
Yeah,
later.
or that'll do it too.
It's unfortunate for the client that, the algorithm is what it is, but especially with a roofer, or like, I'm in a bad part of town, I want this one, or the hail hit over here, and you just can't help some of that. It used to be called Google Local. It is not Google Regional. So when a local person looks
or
for
Google
something,
Metro even,
depending on how big the metro is, no.
Yeah.
So yeah, you might not be able to show up across town, but what you can get out of Google is huge and can give daily phone call traffic. So it's huge what you can get, but people need to study enough, collaborate enough, be open enough, and work on it enough to understand what can be done. And it's millions potentially for somebody. And gross or even possibly net revenue. I mean, we have a lot of clients that do fantastically. And most of those people are aggressive about marketing in some way and collaborative. The best ones are collaborative with us.
right?
We'll knock it out of the park for somebody every once in a while and just have it go askew because there wasn't good collaboration between the two parties on it. But
unfortunately,
yeah, but we have lots and lots of happy clients, and this is the best client to be. If I had to wrap this up in any way, it's just these are attributes that'll help you make money, not things that Jason and I want to see in a client necessarily.
I mean, they are, but the reason we want to see them is not simply because it makes my day easier
or makes me money.
Yeah. It's because when I get a client like that, I know we're much more likely to have a successful effort with them.
Right.
And that means they do well, and then they stay with us, and we do well. So it's in some sense self-serving, but everybody wins.
If the majority of clients didn't do this, we wouldn't be in business.
Exactly.
But this is misunderstood enough that it's worthy to go talk about. And this, to me, I mean, this is so important that I seem to have understood this at an earlier age. There's a lot of other stuff I messed up on, but
when you were flawless.
When I was flawless, yeah. I was flawless for a long time. Oh man, I work on stuff. I tell you what, the older I get, I do recognize more flaws that I have, and you'd think I'd work on more of them, but I don't. I recognize ones that I have, and at some age, you just like, that's who I am, man.
That's me, deal with it.
That's me, deal with it. At least I recognize where I am and where I'm not, that way.
I'm practically fossilized at this point. I'm not changing.
I make some changes here and there. I'm always making some changes. But sometimes, like I don't sugarcoat stuff. I just can't. There's something in my brain, man. I can't do it. I just flat out can't do it. I'll try a little bit, but I don't do it that well.
He's often amazed at how diplomatically I can speak.
Well, grammar's not my thing either, man.
It's not just grammar. It's being able to sugarcoat. It's being able to give bad news in a way that doesn't sound like bad news.
It's in my Myers-Briggs personality type, like to not even be able to pull a smooth word up. It literally says, this man cannot speak well, especially when he gets flustered, which he will often. But I mean, it's fine. I realize more fall, but we work on what we can and we do what we can. Branding and understand marketing, I definitely had. That's why I ended up in this business. I understood it at an early age. Like, oh, I got to figure this crud out. And the reason it's so important to the clients is because you just won't make money without figuring out your marketing. And if you're egotistical enough to think you are making money, you don't know how far it can go until you get this one down.
Right.
Because somebody's like, oh, I do well. I'm number one. Number one for what, sir? Or I make money. It's like, really?
Are you sure?
Are you sure you make money? Yeah. So once you get this type of marketing down, I mean, just the dreams get bigger. The pocketbook gets bigger. The potential goes bigger. Everything does. Right. And so it's a vital business person foundation to get to be the best client, to be the best collaborative person, to understand marketing the best, and to really get into that world. So have people go overboard, have people do too little, but when they do it just right, you've seen the people that we have come through
here.
Yeah,
we've seen it when it hits on all cylinders.
The success level of their ability combined with ours is exponentially more.
Right.
Right. It literally is. So anyway, hope they enjoyed it. I don't know, with us trying to be more diplomatic, it just wasn't as interesting. But whatever, guys,
we're not interesting when we're nice.
I was consulted to be nicer. It wasn't as interesting. All right, we'll see you.
Take it easy.